ESPN sources, the Celtics are working on a trade to acquire the Wizards' Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team deal that sends Malcom Brogdon to the LA Clippers. LA would be sending Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and the 30th pick to Washington. Sides still have more work to do on agreement. Okay? So that was the original trade that was supposed to happen. All right? Everyone was getting excited. More reports came out that confirmed that, you know, they're really close to finalizing that deal. However, closer to midnight, things looked a little shaky, to say the least. Things looked a little shaky, to say the least. You know, typically when you see a trade like this be posted on Woj's Twitter, it's like almost a done deal. We're just waiting for that follow-up tweet that says, yo, it's finalized. However, he then tweets out, Porzingis would opt into his $36 million deal for the 2024 season and make potential trade happen, but there is still outstanding issues to be completed before a deal can be reached. Boston's Gallinari would be in deal to the Wizards as well. So this is telling us that, like, okay, this is the general structure of the deal, but shit's still not finalized. Porzingis has until midnight to opt into his contract to make this deal work, or else he's going to go into free agency. Okay? And then I saw, you know, I saw a decent amount of those tweets. I saw a decent amount of those tweets on my timeline. Like, yo, it's like 11 o'clock, bruh. It's 11 o'clock. Like, you know, fuck going on? Like, what's up? What's up? And then we get this tweet right here. Woj tweets out the 3-team talks on a Porzingis Brogdon deal with the Celtics, Wizards, and Clippers have fallen apart. So this was, at this point, I was like, no way, bro. No way. You know, this trade falls apart right here. No way. This trade falls a fucking part right here. Initial tweet I put out, just a picture of Miles Morales and this meme. The trade's cooked? Like, what the fuck? What am I reading? Literally 5 minutes after I tweet this out, Woj tweets out the last tweet I just read. I'm like, yo, okay, so it's officially fucking cooked. This is insane. And then Woj tweets out that, yo, we're still working on it. You know what I'm saying? That specific deal just fell apart. But we are still trying to work on getting Kristaps Porzingis to the Celtics. That third team, that's the problem. The Clippers are the reason why this trade fell through. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't even Porzingis or the Wizards. It was the Clippers being a little bit too cautious with Malcom Brogdon's health. Okay. So then we fast forward, they're still working, it's about midnight, okay? Woj then tweets this out. The Boston Celtics are finalizing a deal to acquire the Washington Wizards' Kristaps Porzingis. And I'm like, hey, let's get lit! We're back, baby! You thought this was gonna be Chris Paul 2.0? Fuck no. Yeah, we finished deals around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we finished deals around here, man. We got the job done. You know, Brad is him. He made the right phone calls. You know, was it just a first round, you know, a first round draft pick that needed to go there? Was it just, you know, Peyton Pritchard needed to move here? Was Sam Hauser the one breaking up the deal? I was like, yo, let's go. We finished it. It's something like, you know what I'm saying? Just panicked a little bit too much. And then he makes his this tweet right here. Washington is completing a 3-way deal with Boston that'll send Tyus Jones to the Wizards. So that wasn't in the original deal. I'm like, okay, something light, you know what I'm saying? Didn't affect my side of things. It's cool, okay. Shout out to the Wizards. Y'all got Tyus Jones. That's a nice pickup right there. That's a nice pickup. I was like, Memphis, what the fuck? At this point, I was like, Memphis, Why would they just trade Tyus Jones like that? Like, I thought he was a good player. You know what I'm saying? I thought Tyus Jones was an integral part of that team. Right? And then the real bombshell happened. Chat. And then the real bombshell happened. And this tweet was tweeted out. I kid you not, chat. This is exactly what went through my head when I saw this tweet. Like, I kid you not, bro. I kid you not. This is exactly what I heard in my head when I saw this fucking tweet, bro. I'm like, yo, ain't no way, bro. What? I'm like, I was laying in that exact bed right there, specifically on this side. I was like, what? It's like, what the? What? What? Marcus Smart? No, this is crazy. No way, bro. No way. This is insane. This is crazy. No, Marcus Smart. Listen, because mind you, throughout the whole day, I was in spaces talking to motherfuckers about the Porzingis trade, the pros and cons. And then, like, literally in an hour span, shit looks like it's about to get, called off. Right? And I'm like, okay, so out of the 3 guards, they chose to move Malcom Brogdon. I'm like, okay, but I'm, by like 10:30, I was, trying to cope. I was trying to, understand the fit with Marcus Smart, the rest of the crew, KP, and then just out of nowhere, what the fuck? Wait, Malcom Brogdon's back? Is he back on the team? Is he still in the trade? Now Marcus Smart is out? Shit was a shell shock for me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Shit shocked me. Shit shocked me. So then we get into the finalized trade, okay? This is, let me bring up the finalized trade that went through. And that is what we're going to analyze today. It's a tough day in Boston, man. We lost one of our favorite players, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second. This is the final trade right here. Shout out to Hoop Central. Updated trade details. Boston gets Kristaps Porzingis, 2023 and 2024 first-round draft picks from Memphis, I believe. Washington gets Tyus Jones, Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, 2023 number 35 pick. And then Memphis, out of fucking nowhere, gets Marcus Smart. All right? And this is where we get into the meat and fucking potatoes of this dream. Chat, where do we start, right? Where do we start? Where do we fucking start? I think we start off by tipping our hat to Marcus Smart. I want to start off on a positive note, man. I ain't gonna lie. Listen, man. Marcus Smart is one of those players that you hate or love from the outside looking in. But objectively, shout out to K Smooth for becoming a part of Bsolz. But objectively, he is one of those players that you love when he is on your team. The perfect corollary to me is a Draymond Green. Draymond Green is not liked by a lot of fan bases because he is a dude that gets under your nerves when you are playing against him. But as a Warriors fan, you love that dude. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Smart is the same way. When you look at his stats, if anything, they look mid as fuck. And I'm like, yo, I don't understand the hype. But then you actually watch the game. You see what he brings defensively. You see what he brings from a leadership perspective. And he just makes certain plays that like a really W mans would make. Then you get the hype. We're also looking at a player that embodied Boston for pretty much the last decade. He's pretty much that last link to that original era of Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Brad Stevens as a coach. Technically Al Horford, but Marcus Smart was there first. That era of the Boston Celtics, you know, when we were truly trash, when we were truly tanking, he was a part of that era. You know, this is a player, despite all of the flack that Boston as a fan base, as a city has gotten, this dude has embraced being a fucking Celtic. This dude has embraced being a Bostonian, and if you read up on like the shit that he has done for the city and this community, Marcus Smart has done a lot for this community and this fan base. So shout out to Marcus Smart, man. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I understand and I see why we traded him. You know, out of those three guards, one had to go. When you're trying to acquire talent, you're going to have to give up talent. But, you know, Marcus Smart was one of those players that a lot of people thought was a for-lifer for real. You know what I'm saying? That's a for-lifer right there. He's going to, you know, he was drafted by the Celtics. He's going to retire as a Celtic. If/when we ever win that championship, he is going to be on that team in some regard. So the fact that he is gone, we're going to miss you, big bro. I ain't going to lie. We're gonna miss you, Marcus. Thank you for giving it your all to this franchise, to your to this fan base, to this team, to this organization. None of that shit is definitely going to be taken for granted, at least on this side. I understand what you brought to the table. I love how you have developed into a player that has embraced being a role player. You know, that is something that's missing in a lot of players today. You need players that embrace being a role player. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot that's been made about, you know, Marcus Smart and his leadership and, you know, the fact that the Boston Celtics are going to lose the sense of leadership in that locker room. And I can't even lie. That is going to be something that we're going to miss. You know what I'm saying? That is going to be something that we're going to miss, period, point blank. He did bring a sense of leadership to that locker room that will definitely be missed. However, and this is what Chad is waiting for. This is what Chad is waiting for. In my opinion, I said this in the space yesterday, man. Yo, bro, the elephant in the room that no one wants to address, that, like, people are considering is an untouchable for this team, and I want to say for no reason, because I see why, is Marcus Smart. It is Marcus Smart. Because we saw what this team was last season, right? This was a team that shot a lot of threes. There was a lot of statements and a lot of narratives about this team being a live by the three, die by the three team. And I'm looking at this dude, Marcus Smart. And again, this is all respect, but we got to be realistic. Dude shot the third most threes on the team, but was shooting 34%. And that's a rounded up 34%. When the league average is like 36. You know what I'm saying? I know Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're right there. They're a problem too, which I've addressed in the past. But we're looking at a dude with the third highest volume on the team in threes, shooting 34%. We're looking at a dude that 9 years into his career shoots threes at a relatively high volume, but has peaked at a 36% three-point shooter. For this team, that's just not enough, bro. A career 32% three-point shooter on 5 threes a game, yo, bro, that's not enough. That's not enough. That is a legitimate concern. However, because of the grittiness that he brings to the team, and because of, you know, the toughness and the leadership and his ability to make these crazy plays that no one else is willing to do, he is in our closing lineups a lot. He is in our closing lineups a lot. We've seen the memes, you know, especially in those closing out the game lineups. Brad Stevens, even Ime Udoka, and Joe Mazzulla They put in this dude who shoots 33% from three in the game, just because of essentially his loyalty to the franchise and those 1 or 2 plays that he makes in the game. When in reality, like, yo, the smart move, no pun intended, is actually putting in a dude that's efficient from three, who will make the smart play instead of the wild play. But because Marcus Smart is Marcus Smart, there was a level of entitlement to him being in that finishing lineup, which I think was being detrimental to this team. And I kind of, I think we saw that in these last 2 playoff runs. You know what I'm saying? I definitely will miss Marcus Smart's playmaking, and he was really good for us in the playoffs. In my opinion, out of that 3-guard rotation that we had, Marcus Smart is actually the best playmaker out of those 3. So that'll definitely be missed. I think he's the best facilitator out of that 3-guard lineup that we have as well. So yeah, he will be missed. But also, I think a bigger issue, and my apologies for the AC in the background, another big issue that I think is going to be addressed with Marcus Smart leaving the game is addition by subtraction. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are making the argument that, yo, Boston, they lost their true leader in that locker room. You know what I'm saying? They took a leadership hit by getting rid of Marcus Smart. How could that be a good thing, Bsolz? Like, that's crazy. Now, mind you, I'm staying consistent as well. I have been on this stream, I have been on other platforms saying that one of the biggest problems with the Boston Celtics, specifically with JB and JT leading this team, is that, yo, bro, for the last 2 years, with the Celtics being a championship-level team, why does it feel like Marcus Smart and Al Horford are more leaders of this team than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Yo, bro, these are the 2 All-NBA players that we got. These are our 2 franchise players. They should be setting the tone. They should be setting the culture. They should be leading the team. The culture should be built around them, not Marcus Smart. And shout out to Marcus Smart, but not Marcus Smart, not a 37-year-old Al Horford. They have been great vets. They have been great examples for dudes who are under 25, who are, trying to take that leap to the next level. But at some point, bro, the training wheels gotta cut off. The training wheels gotta come off the bike. You gotta ride the bus. All right? You gotta take us where you want us to go. And I'm going to speak on Jaylen Brown in a second. But I think this is a great move for Jason Tatum specifically. He needs to take control of this team. There were a couple years, early on in his career, Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, they were the guys supposed to be leading this team. A little bit later on, they signed Kemba. Yo, is this Tatum's team or Kemba's team? You know what I'm saying? After Kemba leaves, this is supposed to be Tatum's team. And at some point, if Jason Tatum wants to be a top 5 player in the league, if he wants to be a future MVP, if he wants to be an all-time great, this, that, and the third, if he wants to be in the conversations that not only does he want to be in, but his fans also put him in, yo, bro, you got to step up. You got to step up. And I think this move is a pro in that regard. Put some pressure on that guy. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be the tone setter. He needs to be the tone setter. So I definitely like that move from that front. So, I was also coming from the perspective that this team needs to shake it up. Their improvements from last season to next season cannot just be kumbaya and the power of friendship. Like, we need to see some tangible differences. We need to see some tangible, really big differences with this team. And this trade was really big. Pause. It's not really even a pause. Kristaps Porzingis, I think he brings a level of dynamic to this offense that we just haven't seen before. A low post presence of that caliber, we haven't seen that in the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? A third scorer that can legitimately average 20 a game, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that. A third isolation presence, we haven't seen that, bro. We haven't seen that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely interested in how KP is going to fit in the system. I think defensively as well. If there is one thing that I wanted the Celtics to improve on, number one was definitely on-ball playmaking. I think throughout the playoffs, we were being a little bit too reliant, or not even a little bit, a lot too reliant on the on-ball playmaking of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, given what their skill sets are at this point in time, which was then when we had to go to Marcus Smart too much. You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, that was the number one thing to address. The second thing to address to me was a legitimate wing off the bench. That was supposed to be Gallo last year, but towards the tail end of the season, our go-to wing off the bench was Grant Williams. I just don't think offensively he's good enough. He's versatile enough to be that go-to wing off the bench. And then number 3 was that big man rotation. Our big man rotation in the playoffs was a 37-year-old Al Horford. I think Rob is fine, but he has injury problems and injury issues as well. And Mike Muscala? You know what I'm saying? And Jason Tatum, I guess, if that counts, and Grant, if that counts. I just think that shit is weak. So by adding Porzingis, I think we have a lot of versatility in that big man rotation. You know, there might be lineups where we go KP, Al, Jason Tatum at the 3. There might be lineups where we go KP, Jason Tatum at the 4, Jaylen Brown at the 3. And you know what I'm saying? Just try to get as much scoring out there. There might be lineups where we're trying to go as big as possible. And we go Rob, Will, Kristaps, Jason Tatum at the 3. The lineups with just adding KP in there are going to be fucking interesting. So I'm definitely interested to see what Joe Mazzulla cooks up. Also, side note, the improvements on the coaching staff. Personally, I still wanted to have a legitimate head coach change, but this will do. I think from the outside looking in, it is still the beginning of the offseason, and shout out to Cardiac in the building. Shout out to the 1100 in the building. Hating ass motherfuckers in the building. From what I've been seeing in the offseason, I think the plan for this team, and mind you, I am still pro trading Jaylen Brown. I think the plan for this team is keep Joe Mazzulla as the head coach, but give him assistant coaches that align with his coaching disciplines and his coaching philosophies that also add veteran presence to this team. That's number 1. Number 2, we're going to build around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's what I've been feeling. That's what I've been getting. That's what everything is pointing towards. And that is the core thing that this Celtics team is kind of banking on, is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum improving even more. I'm going to be honest. Now, mind you, given that that's the philosophy that they're going in, I actually like the moves that they're making to aid that process. I don't mind what they're doing in terms of aiding that process. But I feel like there is a core problem with building around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I'm going to keep it a bean. I'm going to keep it a buck. This is just my opinion. I think Jaylen Brown is a great player. But there is way too much being put on his shoulders at this point in his career. And I just do not think he's built for it. I just don't, bro. I think in terms of the salary situation, the fact that we're going to put 35% of our salary cap to this dude at age 27 with another dude that we need to put 35% into as well is way too much. I think the improvements that motherfuckers are asking from a 27-year-old at this point in time is way too much. Because this team looks good. Jason Tatum, I think he needs to improve as well. But I think overall his playmaking is already good. His scoring ability is already good. His handle is already good. And he made a pretty decent leap last season compared to 2022. So for me, he needs to improve, but it's not like from here to here. You know what I'm saying? Jaylen Brown being the older player out of that duo, being the dude that wants a supermax, but people are still iffy on. He needs to improve his defense and being consistent on the defensive end. He needs to improve his handles from like here to here. He needs to improve his decision making. He needs to improve his free throw shooting. He needs to improve even his spot up 3-point shooting. And that's a lot to put on Jaylen Brown, bro. That's a lot to put in Jaylen Brown.
Hot take, Celtics might have lost this trade. You traded Marcus Smart and Danilo Gallinari for Porzingis and 1 draft pick, not 2. We traded one of our picks and got 2. Porzingis will be injured.
I'll address those takes in a second. But yeah, man, I want to be as optimistic as I can with Jaylen Brown, but at some point we got to be realistic, bro. From that 2016 draft class, this is the only dude that people are so optimistic on in terms of improving to a drastic degree at age 27. There are a lot of players in NBA history that just peaked at 26 and 27, bro. And if you want to name the examples of the dudes that improved drastically starting from age 27, then on, very far few in between. And I am the belief that the outliers do not justify the means. I don't even know if that's the right saying, but essentially, just because you name 5 players, I could probably name 30 more players that actually peaked at 27. You know what I'm saying? SS Austin for $5. I completely agree. I don't see JB getting much better. Bro can't go left or be a playmaker and is about to make top 5 money. It's dumb. That's my biggest concern, bro. That's my biggest concern, man. At least for me, the fix for this team was adding personnel that would make it so that more so Jaylen Brown, but also Jason Tatum. You're not asking them to play out of character. You know what I'm saying? So that means, Jaylen Brown, you're a great player. You can average 23 to 25 a game. On some nights, 40. But let me put in a team in place so that, when push comes to shove, we don't have to be so reliant on you being an on-ball creator. And maybe that there are still moves that the Celtics can do that can address those issues. But again, you're paying bro top 5 money with all these flaws in his game. It's risky. It's risky. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a big fan of the overall tactics that this team is going about. Also Malcom Brogdon. I'm not sure what they do with Malcom Brogdon. I was talking to Cruz last night, and he was talking about how, players are used to being in the trade rumors a lot. But, we've seen it with Jaylen Brown specifically last season. Motherfuckers feel some type of way with just being put out on the trade market. You know what I'm saying? And especially when a deal is this close to being finalized, and it really was finalized, and it wasn't the Celtics saying, nah, let's pull back. Do you keep that dude on your team? I don't know. And also his value definitely went down now that this injury thing is a much bigger deal. In my opinion, you might be forced to move Malcom Brogdon. Man. Yeah. I think in a vacuum, I'm cool with the KP trade. I like the KP trade. Let me bring up chat because this shit's not working. Yeah, like I like the KP trade. Also, with people have been talking about the injury concern with KP. I'm personally not as concerned as a lot of y'all are, cause I was even looking at Marcus Smart's injury history. And like, you know, Marcus Smart himself doesn't have the best injury track record on the team. You know what I'm saying? Just for reference, this has been Kristaps' career. He played 65, 50, 43, 57. You know? And this is Marcus Smart. I'd say Marcus Smart has been healthier, but it's not like bro is just injury prone as well. You know? Motherfuckers weren't making this argument with Bradley Beal when the Suns got Bradley Beal aside from me. You know, he's been injury prone as well. So, you know, I'm not too concerned with the injury thing. It is a concern, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take with this team. But yeah, man, it's just a sad day in Boston. You know what I'm saying? I understand why. I see it. I appreciate what Marcus Smart did for this team. And a lot of people, you know, were talking about, yo, that call Brad Stevens had to make with Marcus Smart. That must have been heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? That must have been fucking heartbreaking. Let's get it. I couldn't make that call, bro. I couldn't make that call. You're talking about a fan favorite.
I get the top 5 money part of JB resigning, but the Tatum/Brown core are championship contenders. It's the offensive coaching, bro. If you're not trading for Katie, Jalen Pippen is worth resigning.
Jalen Pippen. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, cause in a vacuum, those two have definitely proven that you can be a perennial championship contender with those two at the helm already, let alone their improvements. But if you were here when we watched that Jaylen Brown, you know, why, shout out to MGJ, his video on why the Celtics shouldn't re-sign Jaylen Brown. It's not even that Jaylen Brown isn't worth 35% of the cap. Because in some instances, if he was, I don't know, on the Hornets, if he was on the Magic, if he was on, hell, even the Trailblazers, they would pay Jaylen Brown max money. They would give him 35% of the cap. And I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it's the fact that it's compounded on with Jason Tatum's contract as well. That's really what's pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie. That's really it. That's really it. And there's just way too much being placed on internal improvements for this team's success. I don't know. Hey, if he proves me wrong, he fucking proves me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. But I'm a data-based dude. You know what I'm saying? I try to base as much of my takes on like historical precedents, what has happened before, what are patterns in NBA history. And I'm just looking at Tatum's Jaylen Brown situation. And the improvements people are asking for, in my opinion, is just way too much, bro.